How do you know what the right decision is for you? I think people get really paralyzed by trying to make a decision instead of just making the decision and then making it right. This is something I heard a long time ago: make the decision and then make it right. And I always struggled with that because I wanted to make the right decision and not make the wrong decision. But if you are afraid to make the wrong decision, you'll end up not making any decision because you'll just be stuck there afraid to make the wrong decision. So for example, like right now, Dan and we have 7 days to decide if we're going to stay in this lease, this house, for another year, or if we're going to bail. And we have 7 days to give a 60-day vacate notice if we're going to leave, or we sign up for another lease. So this is with the landlord from hell that I talked about in another video. The company, it's a giant company where they have like billionaire investors just buying up all these houses. They buy them up, they rent them out, and they don't give a shit about the customer service, the maintenance requests, and there's all these lawsuits and shit going on behind there. So this is a really unethical, just gross company. And I'm like, oh, our lease is almost up. It's up in like 2 months. 2 months and 7 days. So we have 7 days to decide. And so I'm weighing, this or this. Do we move? Do we stay in the house for another year and continue to work on our financial situation until we can buy our house? Because we're still working on that. I don't feel like we're at the point where we can just buy a house. I'm not just gonna go finance a house like 90,000% of the people in the world do, because they're not ready and they don't understand what it means to buy something and not borrow. But I digress. So the decision is, do we renew the lease and stay in this house for another year, or do we put in our 60-day notice to vacate and find a different place to live in? What's the right decision? And I was, of course, thinking about this, as I tend to do. And I just made that video the other day, the grass is not greener on the other side. It was in relation to relationships, but I was also thinking, okay, can I apply that to this house as well? We've been in this house for 10 months, and we've really only had like a couple little tiny issues. When I moved in, I knew that I could not rely on this landlord company for anything. I knew that if something broke, maintenance, we were on our own. We were just gonna have to solve it, fix it ourselves, and nothing really too crazy happened. Thankfully, the air conditioner did not go out. We had like a couple small little issues, but we actually fixed those ourselves. So it wasn't that bad. And I've gotten used to the house. It's not my dream house. Obviously, there's lots of things that I don't like about this house, but I feel like that's a first world problem to have, Oh, I don't like this house. Okay, well, some people live in the dirt, okay? So I've gotten used to the house. Dan's pretty comfortable in the house, but that's also another problem, is we've gotten comfortable in it. But on the flip side of that, moving is just a big project, right? It takes up lots of time, it takes up money, but really the time is like the biggest piece. So there's lots of little moving pieces. It takes time to find something. It takes time to pack. Of course, you can hire somebody to pack, but I mean, it's just a lot of logistical things. So I'm like, is it better just to stay, or do we, should we really find a better place if we're going to spend $30,000 a year, why not give it to a company that actually deserves that money, not to a bunch of scumbags that don't care about human beings, So that's where I'm at with this, is like, this is a decision. It's just a decision to make. When we first moved in, October last year, very end of September, we moved in. I honestly couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to leave. I was like, man, I want this year to be over. It's over. 10 months later, here we are. And a lot of good stuff has happened in this house while living with this house. I've really up-leveled by being in this house. Now, it's trash compared to the beautiful vacation home that we lived in, right? That was just, that fucked my mind up because I was like, oh man, I want to live in that kind of house. This is garbage compared to that. This is luxury compared to what a homeless person is going through. This is a dream come true compared to what kids in Africa are going through. They don't have a house, right? Whatever, people living in huts, living in complete squalor. This is a dream come true. So if you know how to compare it to something that is legitimately worse, it makes your problem seem smaller. So I'm looking at this as, is my comfort, his comfort, our convenience more important than actually giving our 30 grand a year or whatever it is for our rent to a company that's better? I really hate giving money to companies that suck, right? This isn't a monopoly, so it's not like we're forced. It's not like it's, your cell phone service where you only have a couple choices or whatever and they all suck, or it's not anything like that. We have options. We have some choices. I haven't really gotten any clear message from God on this one, but I don't think I've actually sat down to ask, what's the right path here? Because I think the right path is just do it and make it right. Whatever you decide to do, that's the right path. You make it right. And you don't sit there and wonder what if. You just stick to the decision that you made and then make it right. There's something very freeing about that, instead of waffling back and forth which one's the right decision? So what's the decision that you need to make? Are you I don't know this, I don't know that, either one, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to decide? It's two different realities. Yes, we could stay here another year, or we could find a different place. Yes, we could be comfortable with this, or we could go through the steps to move and find a better house, a better landlord. Totally two different lives at that point. I mean, this is the butterfly effect, right? This is whoa, that way, whichever. But ultimately, it's all leading to this one place of no matter what we choose, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to make it right. I find that really comforting. Because then it's you just live. You just do it. So, hope that's helpful.